Good morning. Obviously, I want to welcome everybody that's here today. We're meeting to consider the nominations of Todd Blanche to serve as Deputy Attorney General and Gail Slater to serve as Assistant Attorney General for Antitrust. Congratulations on your nominations to both of you, and thank you for your willingness to serve. Before I turn to my opening statement, I'll explain how we'll do business today. I'll give my opening remarks, and then Senator Durbin will give his. Then I'll call on Representative Sampson and Senator Moody to introduce the nominees. After that, Mr. Blanche and Ms. Slater will give opening statements. Following the statements, we'll proceed to a single 7-minute round of questions. I ask members to do their best to adhere to these time limits, and in 2 hearings, I've only had one person abuse that, and I thank everybody for their cooperation. We're here today to consider the nominations of Todd Blanche, Gail Slater, to serve in very senior positions in DOJ. Mr. Blanche, Ms. Slater, thank you for both serving, and you won't hear that too many times, but you heard it from me at least twice. You're nominated to serve in important roles, Department of Justice, and you both have impressive qualifications. Many people don't realize just how intense the committee vetting process is. It took a lot of work for both of these nominees to be here with us today, and we're looking forward to hearing from you and answering our questions. I'd like to say thank you to your family and friends for both of groups for being here to back you up and obviously being very proud of your appointments. I'll note a special guest in the audience today is Chairman Ferguson of the FTC, coming to watch the proceedings. We all know the FTC and the Justice Department work together to enforce our nation's antitrust laws, and so Chairman Ferguson has a keen interest in today's hearing. He used to sit behind me here in hearings like these, so I hope he enjoys a different perspective today. Public trust in the Department of Justice is very low, and our legal system has been weaponized by partisans under the previous administration and also under the Obama administration. We know that the Justice Department and the FBI were prime movers in turning our law enforcement agencies into political weapons. Our new Attorney General, Bondi, has promised to turn things around, and I know that both of you will work with her as she restores confidence and faith in the Justice Department. Mr. Blanche, you're particularly well suited to serve as the second in command of the Justice Department. Your very strong background in criminal litigation, coupled with your firsthand view of a weaponized legal system, makes you the perfect choice. If anything, your exposure to Jack Smith's lawfare will serve as an example of what not to do. Mr. Blanche is no partisan. Instead, he's a serious lawyer with a history of non-political service. He went to law school at night and clerked for judges appointed to the district courts of President Clinton and Bush, and later elevated to a Second Circuit by Presidents Obama and Trump. After clerking, Mr. Blanche landed a position in the Southern District of New York, and we all know that's a highly respected U.S. Attorney's Office. Through your hard work, Through your competence and through your decency, you earned a stellar reputation for being a fair prosecutor. More than 100 of his former colleagues at the Southern District of New York described his reputation in a letter of support to the committee. And I quote from that letter, "He puts the core values of the Department of Justice, independence, impartiality, honesty, integrity, respect, excellence, and a fierce dedication to fairness under the law into practice," end of quote. They also said, quote, "Todd is fundamentally a good and decent man," end of quote. After a long period of government service, Mr. Blanche worked for 2 prestigious law firms, including the oldest law firm on Wall Street. Of course, all of these achievements are what Mr. Blanche is known for. He put his reputation on the line and his career on the line to represent one of the most famous defendants of our time, President Trump. Mr. Blanche, then a registered Democrat and a partner at a large law firm, made the brave decision to stand up to Jack Smith and District Attorney Bragg's rampant lawfare. He handled these cases with professional excellence and billed a personal cost for his decision. And can you believe this? Mr. Blanche was actually forced out of his law firm because he chose to represent President Trump. Now, there's something wrong with that law firm. Mr. Blanche is a lawyer's lawyer. He got a long career in criminal litigator, stellar reputation, and the whole country has seen that he'll do the right thing, even when unpopular. Mr. Blanche is exactly the kind of a partner Bondi needs to help restore faith in the Justice Department. Now, Ms. Slater, I got a little shorter view of you. It doesn't mean anything, but you haven't been involved in all the controversy that Mr. Blanche has been involved in. And that may be to your benefit, getting through this committee. So Ms. Slater has also an impressive record and resume and the right qualifications to run the antitrust division. Ms. Slater spent several years practicing antitrust law in the private practice, and then a full decade at FTC handling antitrust investigations and litigation. In those roles, Ms. Slater got a firsthand view of the nuts and bolts of antitrust enforcement. Ms. Slater also understands antitrust and economics from a policy perspective. She spent several years working in-house for a trade association and for private companies. She also served in President Trump's first administration on the National Economic Council and served now Vice President Vance as his economic policy advisor and a member of his Senate staff. Ms. Slater has numerous accomplishments in the antitrust space, and I have high hopes for an antitrust division under her strong leadership. I'm not the only one who thinks Ms. Slater has an impressive qualifications. She received a letter of support from 9 previous heads of DOJ antitrust division appointed by presidents of both political parties. These officials wrote, quote, "Ms. Slater has the experience, intelligence, judgment, and leadership skills necessary to serve as an excellent Assistant Attorney General for the Antitrust Division," end of quote. In short, the 2 nominees before us today have excellent credentials and, most importantly, a history of public service I look forward to hearing from both of them today. Now